shells and cheese is how creamy it is. The little oval openings in the shells make the perfect pocket to hold extra cheese. And if the shells stick together with all of that creamy cheese, then it's like one giant shell. That's why Velveeta shells and cheese is my favorite. Creamy Velveeta shells and cheese.
All right, guys. How is everyone doing? So, I guess this is the stream. Welcome to it. I'm going to wait for some people to kind of join in on the fun here. Hopefully, everything's kind of working all right. Let's see here. I've got camera working. Good. There we go. We've got switching and all that stuff. So, this is actually happening. All right, cool. Let's see here. We've got 2 people on the stream. Welcome to the stream. Let's check Twitch. I just want to make sure that everything's working. Okay, cool. We are ready to roll this out. Let me start putting this stuff up and we'll get started. All right, so if you're just now joining, what we did yesterday was we basically went and we did a complete retouch. So what we did, if you want, there's a part 1 in the stream from last night. But basically what we did is this. Turn this all off. We went from here, which is the original photo. So this was taken in the daylight over at a place called the Old Mill in Little Rock. This was inside. I have a light set up right here, way up top for a kind of a downward cast, so it makes it look like there's a downward cast for the light, or we're going to do some fire here, as well as there was a light to the left right here, kind of giving her a little bit of fill to kind of accent this light here. So what we did yesterday is we took out all these little blemishes and just these little things on her face, which then created this part. Hold on. So we got into our night scene. So basically, we got all the blemishes off. We created this night scene by doing the color lookup here. And then we went and a little bit further and we created a fire layer, which is going to be this amberish color. But then we took it a bit further and we're starting to add highlights. So I need to add my fire amber color here on this one, as well as I'm just going to go ahead and do this real quick. Right there, and pull this into the bottom. So basically what we're doing is just kind of making these highlights. What we're doing is we've got this fire layer right here that we're going to put on top of it, and the fire is going to be kind of pulling off this way, and we're just going to add these sharp toned highlights right now, which we already did, but we haven't deleted and made them to where they're crisp. But yeah, and then next we're going to make the fire color, and then we're going to add that with our daylight scene. So it's going to go from immense oranges to more of a daylight color to kind of smoothen out the tone. And then we're going to finish it off by adding fire and everything else. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. I hope you'll enjoy our stream. I've got a few people joining us right now. If you want, you can comment in, if you're on YouTube, comment, or if you are on Twitch, you can also comment, and I'll get to those as quickly as I can. I can view them live. So if you have a question, please put them in the comment section, and I'll get to them. So without further ado, I guess we're going to go ahead and do this. So I'm working on a Huion pen tablet. So I've set up the fire layer here. So we've got black for our inverse mask. So I'm just going to go ahead and get white for our reverse color, and that's just going to add the mask around where we're not going to want the mask. So that's not what I want there. This is what I want. go ahead. So I'm using a flow of 9, and so where the white is, that is where there is no mask, and I'm going to be adding black to take out the mask. So I'm going to add an actual fire layer on this, so all the color will be taken out. And I also found some royalty-free music that'll hopefully grace its presence here, so it's not as boring, hopefully, maybe. There we go. Maybe a little bit of music. There we go. All right, so there's some mood. So let's get going. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat, and I will get to them. So just to touch on what we did last night and how we got to this point. So what I did with this highlight layer was I took a soft brush and I went straight down the middle with a fairly large brush of over a, you're probably thinking 100, 150 pixels, soft edges, and just went straight down to create a highlight. And now I'm just taking that out, half of it out. That way we can give it more of a realistic look. Whoops. All right, and I did this part of the hand last night. I'm going to go back over that with color. So now let's go ahead and start working on the face. Now again, I'm just using a very soft tipped brush at flow 6% to just take away some of the highlights out along the edges of the art piece. That way I can give it the realistic kind of look. So it goes over contours. So where there's a contour, you would see that there would be a slight highlight. Now here, with the nose, you wouldn't see this highlight that's straight through here. You would see it on the nose and it would get a little bit bigger, but you wouldn't necessarily see this that's back behind it. So I'll take my brush and move that all the way up. Just take that out. As I smack my microphone with my hat. The whole reason I'm wearing a hat, like I'm wearing a hat right now, is because I have the most awful hair day ever. It's in this weird stage of not wanting to look properly. It's long. I have long hair. This is the longest my hair has ever been. And I don't feel like getting a haircut. So it's just not being happy with me. I'll redo that a bit. I got no one in my chats. No one's in my chats. Someone say, hey. Let's just double check. So I had a weird thing before I even got on that don't even think it tried to do the correct live stream here. Just want to double check. Okay, yeah, we are on. Okay, cool. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. So we've got that. There's just a little bit of a highlight there. Take it out. Get on the Again, I'm just adding highlight detail, not actually giving color. So just popping out highlight parts and then pulling out the color. Turning off the... Yeah. Okay, creamy Velveeta shells and cheese. Go away. Oh my gosh, I hate advertisements. All right, anyway, we're just gonna move on. All right, so we've got that, and let's pull this down here. All right, let's go underneath. All right, so where we're at, we'll just check this out. Before, after, again, before, after relighting. And more than likely what this is going to look like is I'll pull this down just a smidgen more. And it'll be more probably around in this range. But I'm also going to be using what's called a blend if you're not familiar with blend if. But let's continue and finish this off, and then we'll work on the blend if layer, and then we'll start adding some of the hair highlight details and kind of go from there. Let's do... Right, let's move some of this here, give it a little bit of fall off. Go back in and get the trimmed piece here. piece. Okay, there's that. You can chat in the community here at any time, and I don't see that there's anything there, but it's up to you if you have any questions or if you just want to just sit there and watch me. That's fine. I'll just get lonely thinking I'm doing this all on my own. Got like a glowing hand down here. Jeez. Need to soften that up, that's for sure. Need to start like talking like Bob Ross. Look at the happy little glow. Wonder what that glow's thinking about. I'm sure it's good things because it's glowing. anybody will actually ever pixel peep me this close, but I'm doing it anyway. This is probably the most time-consuming portion of anything that you will ever do in any type of Photoshop art manipulation thing, is literally relighting. If you ever have to relight anything dramatically. To tell you the truth, I've only been doing it for a little while, so I'm not perfect at it, but I am getting there. Oh, I will eventually get there. Obviously, this highlight that's on this basket should not be this crazy. So I will have to go out and soften this light up quite a bit that's down here, because light goes as a hierarchy, goes really hot, bright, and then, especially since such a small source, it flows and goes down. And the further it goes down, the less light there's going to be. So I have to manipulate that in the photo. As soon as I get all of this hidden, we can work on it and give it some more depth. Here where I'm going to have to stop, and I'm going to have to work on this side over here, because the more I do that, the more I'm thinking I'm probably going to delete a lot of that, but we'll just keep moving on. Keep moving. Also, if you are new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. I would really, really appreciate it. It would be nice. So, yeah, if you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Basket is almost done. Let's see here. That's correct. while I'm here, go ahead and take care of this. Because it just looks way too not realistic. I know it's going to be way less than this. Yeah, not bad. All right. Get that. Let's go ahead and take care of this here. It's like doing one big coloring book. It's amazing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of this since I'm here. Go ahead and hit my microphone with my headphones, even though nothing is on in my headphones. Go ahead and hit it again, just for good measure. It's blended. Let's move on to the rest of this basket, and then we're going to get on to blending this in just a bit, and yeah, we got to take care of that too. Boop. So this is a little cumbersome. So this is where the bokeh line is. So we actually, instead of going across this line where the hard line is, we actually have to do a hard line around the bokeh and then smooth it out with a lower flow soft brush. We'll just go around like this. That was awful. All right, let's take care of the highlights here. Soften those up a bit. Remember, highlights don't have perfect lines unless they're on perfect lines. So really, the more imperfect it looks, just to let you kind of see, we've got just these little itty bitty accents right through here. It just gives it just that little bit of pop that it needs. It doesn't have that much light on it. It started with a whole lot. See, just like right over here. But just these little imperfect lines just give it just a little bit more pop. That'll just bring out much more of the image. Do the same over here since we've got a lot of dark area. Technically already hit on this spot, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But now I am going to worry about what we've got going on right here. I don't want this to be that big. There's not going to be that much of a fall off on this one. So this one is going to have just a touch. We're going to have a shadow here. Just kind of roll that off a bit. And the further it goes out, the more I'm going to take out. Because technically there shouldn't even be any over here. All right, here's some before and after. Take out big, large chunk of that. Cool, looking good. This one, I kind of got a little squirrely with the brush on this one. So this one I'm going to handle it off just a little bit better. Now I know for sure there's not going to be any highlight on the inverse side of this. So I'm going to go ahead and just take all of that completely out. Here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to kind of shade in a lot of this. Now I'm going to create the fall off. There. Now the fall off is, if you see here, let's move to my camera. Just camera. All right, so here's my brush, and here is where my circle is. Let's see if I can get it right here. Okay, so here, this is how big my circle is. So what I'm wanting to do is really the fall off ends somewhere out here where the circle ends. So you have a bit of fall off where that soft tip takes out pixels, so small itty bitty parts of inconsistencies, or just little soft touches, little opaque touches, and that's what you're going to want to use to soften out the sides and create that fall off, so it still has a little bit of that yellow tone, like right here. Let me move back into my scene here. So that's what I'm going to be doing, is creating just that little bit of touch and go with the fall off of this brush. It's just going to create that very natural look. Now, obviously, there's not going to be any highlight on the undercarriage of this basket because that is where a shadow would be. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that down a bit. So I'm leaving just a small little brim, which is just going to play into what I'm doing here. All right, I'm going to get rid of some of this here because I don't want it. Soften this edge up a bit. looking much better. Now I do want to get rid of a lot of this because I know I'm not going to use a lot of it. So let's do this. Okay. Move up the arm. Now here where the crease is, we're actually going to follow the side of the crease. And then on the opposite side, blend it a bit. Right, that is looking pretty magical. All right, let's move in here. Now you can do this with a pen tablet. You can do this with your mouse. With a mouse, it is annoying AF if you do it with a mouse. It's a lot slower. It can be done. It's just real slow. I'm going to create another one of those fall offs right through here. Just to kind of give it a bit of more detail in the highlight. That way the transition from this area comes up just a little bit more realistic looking. There's not that harsh painter's pen or painter's brush look. Hey, I got someone watching me on Twitch. Sweet. Hi, Twitch user. Welcome to my stream. Please feel free to write something in the comments. We are working on artwork today in Photoshop. Move that down a bit. Feel free to send any chat. Emily, how do you know where to highlight and darken? Okay, so I'll just kind of go over a brief discussion about what we're doing. So the idea is we've got this big fireball. So we've got this torch right here. And so we have this opening right here. So the opening, we have turned this from daylight into the night. So here is our underlying layer right here. So we turned that into a night layer. So we're going to have this night scene. And the fire, since we have an opening right here, is going to be blowing out this way. So we're going to be reversing the fire out to kind of create, I guess, a draft type of situation. And you got to think about how would that light end up affecting a face, end up affecting the things behind it. And so what it would look like if that fire was blowing out, it would mostly be lighting out this way. So we'd have highlights fall going from here down. So she's looking out this way. So we look at all the high points on her face, and we look at all the high points of where that light would hit and how it would hit. So I'm a 3D designer, so I've looked at a ton of 3D elements and how light hits certain things, and I'm a filmmaker, so I kind of get where light goes. So I have that experience, but it's all in just the look. Highlights is exactly how it sounds. They are highlighting the high areas, or they are brightening the high areas. So where things would be a little bit elevated, you kind of want to give those just a slight touch, and it will make that image pop. So before and after just brings a whole lot more life into the image. But thank you for your question, Emily. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do, so we don't have any light down here, which is all right. Let's see here. I'm going to be okay with that. We're going to start using our blend if layers. So let's go ahead and take this out. I believe. Pull that down. Now, obviously, I'm not going to get every single highlighted area. I'm just giving it pop. Like, there will always be stuff that you're going to miss. And not a lot of people are going to notice that kind of thing. But the more you do, the better. And the more you do this, the better you will get. I've been doing this for years. And I really only just discovered this way of giving highlights that extra oomph in Photoshop. And I actually learned that from another YouTube channel called Pix Imperfect that kind of does this similar technique. All right, so now that we have this, I'm pretty happy with how this image is coming together. Pretty happy with how that looks. It's pretty nice. Yeah, so let's just double check. I'm going to blend this in a little bit more. Some more of a shadow. There. Looks pretty good. Didn't even really focus on this area. Oh, look at there. I need to take care of that. Like, I could probably technically like go in through here and maybe give it a slight little raised bump. Even maybe pull it down to like 3 and just give these small itty bitty highlighted bumps right here. Just small. And then blend that in. Okay, little itty bitty small hits of light. Bring that in. Could even do that over here on the chin. So we've got like that, and then go in with a small itty bitty highlight. Just give it just a little bit of a round hit. And then just blend it. Nah, I don't like how that looks. Okay, so that is looking good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and quit on my highlighted area. The next thing I'm going to do is use what's called a blend if blending strategy. So down here in the effects panel, go to blending options. And there is a box down here. It's called blend if. Now, I'm going to be messing on this layer. I don't want to be messing on any underlying areas, but if you see this, you can drag the black from front to back. And what that does is it blends any of the color or any of the layer that you have here and pushes it under a black layer or pulls it underneath a white layer. And it tries to blend it within the blending tones of the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this over until there's a spot where I don't like how it's messing with the image. So I do not like about right here. So what that does is it brings out that black and gives it the contrast, brings out the color from the black areas, because you wouldn't technically be coloring any black areas because that is our absolute shadow. But now we've got areas where it's like this harsh, like choosh, cut. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit these little corner pieces here. You're going to hold down Alt and drag the one side, and you'll bring that over a smidgen. And notice that pulls in the gray areas from where that darkened your other area. So now, let me hit OK. Before and after. Much more noticeable as an actual highlighted and accentuated area of the face, accentuated areas in the darks and highlights. And in fact, I kind of want to bring this down because this is distracting. I don't think it would be that highlighted. So let's bring it down quite a bit on her shirt. Just not happy the way that looks. I know that there would be a little bit of highlight there, so I'm not going to touch it too much. Just don't like the way that's falling out onto her shirt. I'm probably going to add more color from a daylight, because the way light works, so like say if your camera, so you got to think about how camera sees light and sees color. The camera, whenever you set it up, you set up the ISO to a color, and that color is absolute white. So this dress should be white, but the further off you go into the shadowed range and the less light you get, the warmer the tone gets. So the higher that gets, the higher that white point gets, and the further off that light goes, the warmer that light gets. So right through here is where I'm going to start putting daylight balanced tones. So it'll go from this nice daylight tone into the highlights where there's going to be more and more of that color brought in, and that's going to give it more of a natural look. And we're going to trick the eye to think that this is a colored piece that has fire in it. So that's what we're going to be doing for this next little bit. And then we're going to add the gradient transition of that highlight to daylight, which is going to add that color. And then the fun part, add the fire, add some smoke, add some debris, and then put off our highlights onto our rocks, and then we were going to call it good. There might be a part 3 tomorrow, just because I don't like streams going over an hour. Let's see, where are we at right now with this stream? We are at, I don't know, about 56. Oh, wow. Yeah, we're over an hour. So I'm going to spend some time doing the daylight layer. And then we'll kind of go from there. So I'm going to pull our daylight up, turn that on, turn our highlight off, and I'm going to mess with our layer here. So here is that. Pull this down, put that retouch back down there, and bam, we are back into our highlight A layer. So this is what we have for our, not highlight layer, our fully retouched daylight perfect image that we have decided this is what we were going to work off of. So we're going to do similar to what we were doing with the fire, we're going to do with the daylight area. So we're going to put a mask, hit Control I, and that's going to mask out the entire thing. So we're going to be adding inverse masks. So we have it completely masked out with black, and then we're going to add, or technically we're going to be subtracting our darkness with a white paintbrush, which is with a soft tip, and we're going to start adding the tones from the daylight. So I like adding tones like you would add, I guess, makeup. Pull that down. And again, you're going to be focusing on these lit areas. Kind of give it just almost patchy, because you think about the fire, it's not just one light source. It's not on all the time. It's always constantly moving. So your light is going to be somewhat cumbersome at this point. So we have a small shadow under here, so we're just going to kind of give a little bit here. And watch what happens whenever we do this. Oh, doesn't that look cool? And we just kind of add just a little bit of light spots. Just kind of add in just a few little hits. But look at that. That's already looking sweet. And really, I could probably pull this down a smidgen. Ugh, that's looking good. That's looking real good. Somewhere around there. Ugh. All right, cool. But enough of that. You get the point. Oh, that's looking good. All right, let's add some light to our clothing here. All right. Again, we're just adding bits of light where we know that there is going to need to be light. So onto the dress, we'll just kind of pull that out where there should be some color, or not really color, but just plain old light, not color highlight, just plain light. That's what we're adding back. Just some sporadic light points to give a little bit more realism and depth. Can actually take some of this away. Kind of play with where the shadows are. Obviously, light shouldn't be where there's shadows. Just kind of put it in, take it out. There we go. With, without. It's looking real good. Real good. Cool. And again, that fall off, you got to think about that fall off. So you've got light hierarchy. So again, the higher your light source is, the more fallout there's going to be. It's not that way. You give it kind of just a little bit more of an edge for realism. All right, I want to do 4. If you're just now joining us on the stream, welcome. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. So I'm just adding more of that highlight into our hand. Looking much better. Much better. All right, I think I'm going to keep this on just so I can start accentuating the layer a bit more. Pretty good. Take some of this out. Don't like the way that looks. Get rid of some of this here. Now this is the next step, just kind of blending it in with the fire layer, with the highlights. That way, well, blend it in. I mean, you're virtually painting. You've created the canvas and you're painting everything in. That way everything just has that nice, smooth transition of color. That right there is pretty harsh. Blend in that color. And literally, the more random you are with it, the better off it eventually starts looking. All right. So I'm going to try something a little different. So I'm going to open up the eyes just a bit. So on the live stream from last night, we put this really nice highlight in with her eyes. So I want to just go ahead and pop those out just a smidgen. The same over here, and give it a little less blue from our night layer. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end it right here for the night because I've gone well over an hour. If you are joining us now, thank you for joining. Please hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube or Twitch. I'm not sure how Twitch does it, but thank you for watching, people from Twitch. This is my first Twitch stream ever. Thank you for tuning in and checking it out. If you have any questions, please message me into the video. Also, my email is up. I think the email is somewhere in the description below, somewhere here, or you can find me on social media. Message me. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in to my stream tonight. I will be streaming tomorrow at some point to try to finish this up. The only thing we have left to do is lighting the wall, which is not necessarily very time consuming, but we're just lighting the wall. And then the last thing we're going to be doing is adding the fire onto our torch here. We're going to be adding some smoke and maybe a little bit of blue highlight for a moonlight and maybe some haze, and then polishing everything off with a look and covering really the final touches of what it is to bring this type of an image to life. So what we did today, we fixed our highlights, we added our daylight color, which gives us the correct skin tone, and brought everything in with a blend if layer to blend all of our colors together. All right, everybody, thank you for watching tonight. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Again, thank you.